Emil Kadlec here. Football Diehards week NFL 18, the crazy week, the week where teams let players rest, etc. I am here with John Laub, the scholar. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good, Emil. I've had a great fantasy football season, terrific DFS season. The best part, I won 4 league championships out of 13
Wow.
leagues, so I'm very excited about that. I also have 1 game left, believe it or not. ESPN does the 2-week playoff format, and I
Ooh.
started Kenneth Gainwell last night, and I put him in the lineup over Javonte Williams, who I was concerned about, and I was right because Melvin Gordon got equal number of carries and the big touchdown. And I benched Ezekiel Elliott for Kenneth Gainwell, so that worked out well. I'm favored by 2 points right now, so I'm hoping
Whoa.
to get my 5th ring, make a little, but more importantly, help our viewers build those DFS lineups today. I can't believe it's week 18. What is it, January 9th, and we started Emil way back in September. You know, I was thinking about this, Emil. This is our 34th show in the past 2 years.
Wow.
Only 1 week I took a family weekend over Thanksgiving with my mom and dad. But other than that, we've been here every week for the viewers.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's start with the sleepers.
Before we go into this week's sleepers, last week, Emil, we hit a home run. All 4 of our sleepers knocked it out. We had Trey Lance, who had 3 times value with over 19 points. Rashad Penny hit another grand slam at very low ownership. Devin Singletary was a total stud last week. And Zay Jones came through, my man. He had over 100. Yeah, over 100 yards.
God.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was incredible. I could not believe how much Zay Jones scored. What a fantasy day.
Yeah, he was great for me in my cash game lineup, so I was very happy with Zay Jones. So, again, I've been grinding all week for everyone. We do have some turnover, and I'm looking for, in general, low ownership. And you're going to see a pattern here. Emil, I'm going to bet on the quarterbacks. Who are the stud quarterbacks? And right now, the stud quarterback that I'm going to bank around his auxiliary assets are Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's in a big spot here to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. And I'm going to bet on some of the players. We know there have been injuries around Tom Brady. Leonard Fournette, Rondell Jones, Chris Godwin. We also, I did get burned by Antonio Brown. Oh my God, last week. But I don't even know what to say. Here are my cash game lineups and one of my championship games. I still won, but he hurt me. So what happens when there is a challenge? Opportunity arises. Cyril Grayson, everyone. If you watch that game against the Jets, excuse me, a little bit of a cold. I apologize to everyone. Let me take a drink for a second. If you watch that game, and I'm in the New York area, so the Jets were on, and I was stunned that the Jets were winning. So, and then we have the debacle with Antonio Brown. So I had to watch this game. Will the Bucs come back? Obviously, to me, the player who stood out was Cyril Grayson, the wide receiver. Bob Harris wrote about him on our website. Check it out in his 3 and Out this week. He gave you great background on this young man. In week 17, if you saw the game, 8 targets, 81 yards, and a touchdown. He's a speedster, home run hitter from LSU. The week before against Carolina, Emil, he had 12.5 points, another 81 yards. He did not score, but he had 3 receptions. Oh, I don't know what's wrong all of a sudden. Sorry, everyone. And then
it's the week 18 craziness getting into your throat.
Again, my wife's got a cold, and it seems like I probably ended up with it this morning. I apologize, everyone.
No problem.
Then we have New Orleans in week 8, 12 points. When this young man is on the field, Emil, he's been producing. Tom Brady has talked about him this week. Tom Brady likes him. Bruce Arians has talked about him. With just Mike Evans and Cyril Grayson, I expect another 7 to 9 targets in this contest. I know the Panthers, it's not a great matchup, but, I'm not afraid of Carolina, especially with Tom Brady throwing the football. He's only 4,400. Last week was a bargain, 3,300. But I think everyone was on Antonio Brown. So obviously, so I'm going to go with Cyril Grayson here. Hope that Tom Brady continues to pepper him. The opportunity should be there. And if you want to play Cooper Kupp, you need to find value at the wide receiver position. And one of the players that you can find a lot of value tethered to Tom Brady is Cyril Grayson. I like him this week a lot in cash game lineups. Then, look at the backfield. No Leonard Fournette. No Rondell Jones. Keyshawn Vaughn, who was a third-round pick out of Vanderbilt, has been a major disappointment. I liked him coming out of Vanderbilt. I liked the film. I had him graded pretty highly. I've even taken him in some dynasty drafts. He should start today. From what I've read, I know he was questionable for a while. It looks like he should start. Now, you do have Le'Veon Bell. But, if you're the Buccaneers, you kind of know what you got with Bell. Keyshawn Vaughn had that explosive touchdown against Carolina 2 weeks ago, and he scored 13 points in that game. Keyshawn Vaughn should get the majority of the snaps. Now, I don't think he'll get a 70%, but he should have about 60%. My challenge is how many receptions. But last week, Emil, he was targeted 3 times in that game against the Jets.
Uh-huh.
And we know, look at what Tom Brady has done historically, James White. And look at the pass catcher extraordinaire that he made out of Leonard Fournette. We know Tom Brady likes those quick dump-offs. He likes to get the ball into the hands of his running back. I'm getting a starting running back attached to Tom Brady for 5,300. If you're looking for a sleeper, I like Vaughn a lot. I would not play both Bucks. I would put him, if you're looking for sleepers, I don't have them in both of my lineups, but I have them in different lineups. You can go here. I like Keyshawn Vaughn with the floor of about 12 points. If he gets in the end zone, you have about 18 to 20. And let me repeat it. If I'm going to go week 18, and there's a lot of players rising up, a lot of players getting opportunity, a lot of teams might not have a lot to play for, I'm going to attach my hopes to arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, who I expect to have a big day against the Panthers at home. Love him here. Quarterback. I was kind of surprised. Taysom Hill at 4% ownership. This is a real good matchup on the road against the Falcons. What do I like about it? The Saints need to win to get in. They've got to win this football game. If you go back to week 13 against Dallas, Taysom Hill had 27 points, Emil. Against the Jets, 26 points. Unfortunately, for the last 2 weeks, he hasn't been great. 17 points and 9.5 points. But the 9.5 was against Tampa Bay on the road. He's playing the Falcons. He's only 6,200, Emil. He has the upside. He has the upside with his legs. 45, 33 yards rushing, but 73 yards rushing against the Jets, 101 yards rushing against Dallas. Taysom Hill is what we love in DFS. He has a very nice floor. You got to assume 30, 40 yards rushing with some upside. If he gets in the end zone with his legs, you're golden. I like him here against the Falcons. This is a nice spot, and I like the fact the Saints have to win. I also like the fact that the Falcons played tough against the Bills last week. They forced Josh Allen and the Bills to remain on the field. One of the reasons why Devin Singletary was so good, Buffalo didn't blow him out and they couldn't rest their starters. I think the Falcons will push the Saints here, which will force the Saints to put points up. I like Taysom Hill here. Only 4% ownership. That's terrific. And the last player I like. Look, I'm not intimidated by Minnesota. Looked it up. Last 4 weeks, the Vikings have surrendered nearly 45 points per game to opposing wide receivers, Emil. 68 receptions, 780 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Well, Andy Dalton's playing. I'd rather see Justin Fields from a developmental standpoint, see where he's going. I'd rather, however, from a DFS perspective, I'd rather have Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can get the ball into the hands of his wide receivers. You have Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney. Now, I'm not playing Allen Robinson. If you want to go ahead, go for it, people. I can't do it. Even though he's $4,000 and it's screaming at you, begging you to take it, right? But I can't do it. Darnell Mooney's the home run hitter. I think he's played better football all season long. It's a terrific matchup in the Dome. We have no weather problems. Andy Dalton is competent. The one thing I can say about Andy Dalton for all these years, he's up and down, but he has supported lots of excellent fantasy football wide receivers in his career. Last week against the Giants, Mooney scored 19.9. Emil, he's had 22 targets the last 2 weeks against Seattle and the Giants.
Whoa.
Bad secondaries. Well, guess what? The Vikings are a bad secondary. This is an interdivision rival. The Bears will show up here. Andy Dalton's playing for a spot next year. I'm sure he wants to remain in the NFL. Maybe he stays with the Bears, but maybe he gets a backup position elsewhere. Andy Dalton has lots of reasons to perform this week. I love Darnell Mooney, and that's my sleepers this week in DFS. Emil, were you able to plug him into our optimizer?
Yes, I was. And, Mooney has a high ceiling, too, even with Dalton.
He does.
Yeah, we've got an interesting one. The first lineup with these 4 characters, we've got also to be able to fit in Kamara and Jonathan Taylor. And then it has Josh Reynolds and Komet at tight end. Yeah. It's a little tight with the tight end being able to get those guys in there. But there's definitely a lot of room here for some very interesting lineups, and the optimizer helps you figure that out.
And the good part is you can play Kamara with Taysom Hill because Kamara is a pass-catching back. Like, in general, I don't know if I'm going to play – let me think who would be a good example here as a running back with not a lot of up. Like Najee Harris, I would not play with Mac Jones. He doesn't have a lot of pass-catching upside. But you can play Alvin Kamara with Taysom Hill because Taysom Hill could throw a touchdown to Kamara. Mm-hmm. So I like that. That's a good – and you said Taylor was in it?
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor.
Woo!
And the other thing you can do, just to remind people, of Kamara shows up a lot in the optimizer. And so I just quickly X'd him out just to see what would happen. Yeah. And, you end up with Taylor, you end up with Van Jefferson at wide receiver, and you got Montgomery at flex in one of these lineups. So you can always, if it's flooding a player, you can always X them out in the second column to see what other lineups you'll get.
Well, I definitely wanted to save people money to build around Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, if that's the type of player they want.
Yeah, and again, you could force Taylor Kupp in too just to see what happens. So a lot of stuff you can do with that. But yeah, excellent lineups with this sleeper section. All right, let's move on to the Fantastic Four.
And last week on our Fantastic Four, we had Dak Prescott, who I was worried in the first half, but he came back. He got a lot of garbage time, even though Dallas lost. He came back with over 20 points, and boy, was he great last night. We had David Montgomery was a stud against the Giants. Darrell Williams was the bomb against the Bengals. Oh, my God, 2 touchdowns. Hit the grand slam. The only guy who hurt us in our Fantastic Four was Jalen Waddle last week. A little disappointed in him. It happens. No one can get home runs all the time. But it did turn out to be a good Fantastic Four to build a cash game lineup this week. I'm going to let our viewers, and we had the same challenge last week. Do you want to build around Jonathan Taylor, or do you want to build around Cooper Kupp? So in order to do so, I needed to find salary savings. And in this lineup, I'm going to build around Cooper Kupp to show you an example. He's 9,700. But Emil, doesn't he need 12 catches to break Marvin Harrison's record?
Yep.
And I think he needs like 136 yards to break the all-time yardage record. I think the Rams are going to force feed Kupp the ball here. This is NFL history. Stafford and Sean McVay know this. I do believe that Cooper Kupp, I mean, he might get a lot of like 4-yard receptions. He might have 4 or 5 catches for 25 yards. And obviously, I think they'll take their deep shots, intermediate shots. But they're going to get those numbers up. I like Cooper Kupp. So if you want to build, here's my lineup around Cooper Kupp. Because I think he's in a 25 to 35 points in a PPR setting. I think he has 40-point upside if he scores twice. So I love Cooper Kupp here because of the incentives to get into the record books. Emil, that means something to people. Mm-hmm. I'm an historian. I know who wouldn't want to see their name when they retire at the top of the NFL record books.
Boy, no doubt.
Here you go. I'm going to go with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. You could go Taysom Hill, and we just talked about him. But I'm going to go in this lineup, Tyler Huntley. Here's why. Both the Steelers and the Ravens one of them is going to finish above 500. And both of these coaches, they want to finish above 500. Mm-hmm. They don't want a losing record on their resume. Here you go, Huntley. 3 weeks ago when he played Green Bay, 36 DraftKings points. So we have the ceiling. In his other 4 starts, 12, 17, and 12, we have a nice floor. What is the difference? The rushing touchdowns. I'm not afraid of the Steelers anymore, Emil. They're not very good. Their defense isn't as good as it used to be. Tyler Huntley can get rushing yards. We love that. Look at this, Emil, on the rushing side. 54, 73, 45, and 40. That gives us a great floor. The Steelers have been giving up, I think, let me see here against tight ends here. Because you have Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews is going to be, I think he's going to be peppered. I don't expect him to break some of these records because he has a much higher challenge ahead of him than Cooper Kupp. But I do like Huntley to pepper him here. They have Rashad Bateman. They have, Devonta Freeman in the backfield. And Tyler Huntley can run the football. He scored 12 points with no touchdowns. 0. No passing, no rushing. If he gets 1 passing and 1 rushing, Emil, that's 22 points.
Yeah.
Boom. Is that against this Steelers defense? Is that possible? Absolutely. In my book, I like Tyler Huntley here. If you wanna pivot to Taysom Hill, you can do that. You can put it in our optimizer. But I like Huntley. He's in my Fantastic Four. I also kind of like Kamara. So you could put Kamara in this lineup. And Emil, Devin Singletary has worked his way from a sleeper into a must-start.
Wow.
The Bills have to beat the Jets. They can't, in my opinion, you can't lose this division in New England. You've got to get the playoff game in Buffalo. At least the opening week and possibly the second week. So I like Singletary here. Look at his last month, Emil. 15, 16, 19, and 26 DraftKings points. He's been scoring touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. The targets are kind of hit or miss. 7 targets, Tampa Bay. 1 target, Carolina. 6 targets, New England. 1 target, Atlanta. If he gets an uptick in targets, he's their main back with 23, 12, and 22 carries the last 3 weeks. We've been betting against the Jets all year, Emil. Why stop now?
It's been working.
I mean, it's working. The Jets are abysmal. Let me see how bad they are in the last month. Not only are they bad all year, but the Jets are not good, giving up over 23 points a game in the last month to opposing running backs. And for the year, the Jets are the worst, 32 points. I like Devin Singletary here. I'm not going to give up. It's a playoff berth on the line. Let's do it. Another sleeper that I liked, I have to give you another salary-saving wide receiver. With no DeAndre Hopkins, Antoine Wesley has become a very interesting player. This Seattle-Arizona game is the highest over-under. Last 2 weeks, Antoine Wesley has had 9 targets. He has scored 11 and 19 DraftKings points. I think Kyler Murray's in a good spot here. Seahawks secondary stinks. Stinks. You can pay up for Christian Kirk or Zach Ertz. But I'm going to take the salary savings here. In his last 3 games, Wesley has been targeted 8, 4, and 5 times. We're getting us basically a starting wide receiver on Arizona for 4,100 in the highest over-under game. Now, he's a little touchdown dependent, so I understand if you are concerned. But I said I'm banking on quarterbacks this weekend. I have no problem with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has looked good the last couple weeks. Kyler Murray has scored 23 and 22 DraftKings points. He has thrown 3 touchdowns and over 500 yards the last 2 games. This is the highest over-under against the Seattle Seahawks. I'll take Antoine Wesley here because I need the salary savings, and that's my Fantastic Four. Emil, did you plug that into the optimizer?
Oh, yeah. It's an interesting one. We've got the first lineup that I got optimized. The lineup was Sony Mitchell, Kamara, and then Grayson for Tampa Bay and Komet.
Ooh.
So it's fitting a lot of players in there that we're talking about. Here's another one, down a few. Of course, you can get 50 of these if you want to see that many lineups. The 5th lineup I got was Kamara and Montgomery, and then Grayson and Wright for Detroit.
Ooh. So this is nice. You can build a nice lineup. And when you can get Kupp and Kamara or Kupp and Dalvin Cook, I mean, that's nice. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, you've left some a good amount of salary there to help our listeners pick the other positions of the lineup.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, let's go to the next view graph.
All right, it's week 18, but we're still grinding for you and helping you build better DFS lineups. Right now on footballdiehards.com, we have DraftKings Cash Plays and DFS GPP Stacks by Jamie Calandro. Check them out. Great articles. We have Gary Davenport examines the cornerback wide receiver matchups in the Shadow Nose. We have Bob Harris, the Hall of Famer, DFS 3 and Out. Check that out. Digging in the crates daily if you want more sleepers than the ones I gave you here. Justin Lanero. And then DFS Football Diehard Show on Sundays follows me and Emil here at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with Jason and Jamie.
Beautiful. All right, let's get off to GPP.
All right, Emil, I was a little surprised looking at some of the ownership. A lot of people are going to go to Seattle and Arizona, and I get that. And there's a lot of really low-scoring games. I mean, there's some games under 40 points. So in a GPP, I don't really want to go under a projection of 40. But what I was surprised at was some of the ownership on the 49ers side of the football. We know Cooper Kupp's going to be highly owned. We gave it to you on the previous slide. But look at this. Deebo Samuel. If I'm winning a GPP, let me pivot away from Cooper Kupp. Deebo Samuel is at 3% ownership, Emil. That's outside. I mean, obviously, people are not looking at this 49er passing game. Last 5 games, 21, 13, 19, 31, and 17 DraftKings points. Real nice floor between 15 and 17 and a ceiling of 32. He's playing the Rams. Key, Jimmy Garoppolo is back under center. All reports indicate that he's going to start this game. He's only 3% ownership, Emil. No. When he played the Rams earlier, he had only 16 points. I know Jimmy Garoppolo against Chicago in Week 8 had 30 DraftKings points, 24 points against Arizona, 20 points against Cincinnati. When we last saw Jimmy Garoppolo against Tennessee, he had 18. The Rams can play run defense. I think the 49ers might be throwing the ball. Now, Shanahan's still going to run. I mean, we know Shanahan's going to run the football. But I think this is an interesting spot for the 49ers to throw the football more than people are expecting. And I do think the Rams are going to put the points on the board with Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham. So I like the 49ers, and I can get Jimmy Garoppolo in the second highest over-under. He's only 3% owned. I like him here with Deebo Samuel. But more importantly, I want to differentiate. Emil, look at George Kittle. He's 5% ownership. 5%.
That's nuts.
He was at one time priced at $7,500. He's now down to $6,700. Recency bias. Last 2 weeks against Houston, 4.5. Against Tennessee, 4.1. So we have back-to-back poor games. But the 3 games before that, 42, 37, and 15. Emil. You're looking at ceiling. You're looking to differentiate. George Kittle at 3% ownership. Or 5% ownership. So I'm going to hope that this 49ers passing game is funneled to 2 players, Samuel and Kittle, and they combine for 3 touchdowns. Because I want to win a GPP. That's what I got to hope for. Garoppolo throws 3 touchdowns, and Samuel and Kittle catch all 3. That's it. I could win a GPP. So coming back, I'm going to stay away from the running backs. There's lots of value at running back. Go to the other games. Go to some of the players we've talked about today. I'm going to go, I don't usually do this, but it is an interesting way to build a roster. I'm going to pivot to Tyler Higby at tight end. Look at this. The last 3 weeks, 6, 6, and 9 targets. I can get 6 to 9 targets out of my tight end, Emil. 9, that's a lot. 9, 9, and 13 DraftKings points. Tyler Higby is only $4,000. If he scores his number in any of those games, he has not scored a touchdown since week 10 against San Francisco, ironically. If he scores the last 3 weeks, any of them, he would end up with 19, 15, and 16 DraftKings points. What if Tyler Higby gets into the end zone? Cooper Kupp only scores 1. And we've got to pivot off of Cooper Kupp. I'm going to pivot to Odell Beckham. He's only $5,800. He has scored in 4 of the last 5 weeks. The Rams have figured out how to isolate Odell Beckham one-on-one. They definitely are calling plays for him to be successful. They put him in opportunities to succeed one-on-one. Very quietly, Odell Beckham's playing good. He's not been great because you have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's great. But what if Odell ever got 2 touchdowns? It's feasible. It's possible. I like this game as a sneaky shootout. So I'm going to pivot there That's my GPP contrarian stack. I get less than 10% ownership on all 5 of these players. I like it a lot. Emil, did you plug those into the lineup?
Yes, I did, with the exception that it would not let me put Higby in for some reason. The tool does not let me do it. But it's stuck in Komet, which is it's a little bit lower salary. But what it did give me, I'll give you what it gave me. Kamara.
Yeah.
It gave me Carter for the Jets, and then a Grayson at Tampa Bay on the first lineup. The second line, it gave me Mitchell, Montgomery, and Grayson. Obviously, Grayson's a very popular one. So I'm not sure exactly what you can get with this because you're going to have to spend a little bit more money on Higby. But definitely lots of room in your contrarian GPP to put some great lineups in the optimizer.
Yeah, I like this one a lot because you can put in some sleeper running backs too that we've discussed today, or that's up on Football Diehards. And our optimizer likes Grayson a lot also, right?
Yeah, he's probably high in our rankings is why it's throwing him in, and obviously for all the other reasons you talked about.
Yeah, I like
including the salary.
Yeah, the salary, the opportunity. It's really good this week.
You know what's interesting is Tampa Bay is really not in the position they were in last year to make a run for the Super Bowl. Things started to go well for them, and Antonio Brown really helped that team last year.
Oh,
really
absolutely.
They had 3 great receivers. So I see them having a less chance of winning the Super Bowl. But maybe this Grayson guy could make a difference.
The speed is there, and we know that Tom Brady likes to take his deep shots. He's always, if you watch the Patriots, he's always likes, the one thing I like, I mean, there's so many things to like, but I don't like quarterbacks who don't challenge the safeties. And Tom Brady knows about, even if it's incomplete, you've got to challenge the safeties deep. And Grayson gives them, he's a sprinter, that's his background. And you know, Tom Brady, if you've watched Tom Brady for 20 years like you and I, every game he's taken 3 or 4 deep shots. And that matters in the NFL. You've got to attack people secondary deep.
Well, they need Fournette back for the run, and if Grayson can help them, they can use, obviously, at tight end. Brate was a nice guy who could come in there and play some plays. So it's going to be interesting to see if Tampa Bay can try and get back into the Super Bowl with these situations and these injuries.
I agree. I think Fournette's the key. They need a healthy Fournette. He's big, physical, pass-catching back. That, to me, they could survive, I think, with Evans, Gronk, Brate, but you do need, I think, Leonard Fournette to run the football.
I think it's kind of, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Oh, no, especially in the second half, if you've got a lead, you want to beat people up.
I think it's kind of funny last year when Fournette got cut by Jacksonville and he was upset. He went to Tampa Bay. They said, "Look, we're a team here. You're going to get your share." He didn't like it, and the coach came in and said, "Look, you going to buy in or not?" He said, "Okay," and then he ended up with a Super Bowl ring.
Culture matters. Emil, I've said it because I'm a teacher, and if you're a high school teacher or coach, you understand culture matters. And Brady and Arians have a good culture in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know AB. That's a whole different story. It makes me actually think Tomlinson's a genius for putting up with what he accomplished with AB.
It helped get him a Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think he was an important part of winning a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And Tomlin and the Steelers kept a lot of this stuff under wraps.
Yes, they did. And they won some Super Bowls, too.
They won some Super Bowls and had some good teams. But, Emil, I wanted to thank you for bringing me on all year to do – anyone – excuse me, everyone. I apologize. Anyone doesn't know, Emil does all the background. He does all the behind-the-scenes of technology. So I appreciate that tremendous. Thank all the viewers for staying with us for 18 weeks. We really appreciate it. Hope I got you, and Emil and I got you some opportunity to win some big contests. We've had a good year. There's some bad weeks, but that's going to happen when you do this 18 weeks every year. But thanks, everyone, for watching. And, Emil, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure doing the show with you. And, I'm I do a lot of things here in the background, and I do throw a few lineups in, and it's been really great. It's been a great year. So thank you so much. Looking forward to 2022.
Hey, all of my, for the 9th year, my scholars study sheets of all the NFL draft prospects are back on Football Diehards. So the quarterbacks are coming out first. I'm a little ahead on quarterbacks. But watch out for those. They'll be up throughout the month of February and March. All of our stuff for all our NFL prospects are on Football Diehards.
It's going to be great. It's incredible how quickly the Super Bowl's over, and we're already working on the next year.
Emil, believe it or not, I have a Senior Bowl preview show tonight. I've been breaking down all 6 of those quarterbacks for the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, it never stops. The NFL is year-round now, my friends.
Well, thank you so much, John, and look forward to those articles coming up real quickly, and let's enjoy the playoffs also.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait.
All right, thank you. Good luck, everybody, this week.